Hey everybody, happy Monday here. So just wanted to tune in here. So apologize a little bit late and delayed. So out at one of my founder friends' companies here. So exploring some different things. And so we were having a good conversation. But did want to stick to these weekly updates. A little bit about what's going on in our world over at neco. And then also give you a chance to ask any questions that you may have. So I get questions throughout the week about what we're doing, what the investment round is all around about with our crowdfunding campaign, anything like that. So just feel free. You can put your comments anywhere where you're watching. We're streaming this to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you have any comments or any questions about what we're doing, both in terms of the crowd equity raise or what we in general do at necoTECH, happy to answer those questions during this session. So a couple updates for this week. So we are proud to announce that we got selected as one of the top 40 companies in the country for the Smart Cities Startup Challenge. So that is a national event every year that they have where they bring in people from all over the country that are in the smart cities IoT space, looking at the different functionalities and technologies for the things that run our country's cities and infrastructure. And so necoTECH was one of those selected. So next month, early April, I will be actually this year's happens to be in Columbus, Ohio, our hometown. So I don't have to travel as far as some of the other contestants. But I think we're one of two companies from Ohio that were selected. So I will be at the Smart Cities Challenge showcasing our embedded sensor technology. So that's one that we've been working on with the Air Force. It won a top 30 innovation with the Air Force last summer. And it was one of the Army's top 50 innovative challenges in the X-Tech search. So it's focused on embedding sensors into the pavement, into our world of asphalt and infrastructure, better monitoring those, communicating those things, and communicating with autonomous equipment. So we're focused not so much on the sensor itself. We partnered with some sensor companies, but we're focused. It uses our core stuff of the asphalt, the hot patch on demand product, the flowable concrete fill, and our robotic maintenance vehicle that allows us to embed sensors into the live infrastructure itself. So that's pretty cool. We're excited. They had several hundred companies that applied for that. It's got a good list of alumni out there of companies that have competed in the past. So it's an honor to be selected for these types of things, and look forward to sharing that with the Smart Cities world next month, April 4th or 5th through 7th, I think is when it'll be. So in Columbus, Ohio. So you can check it out. If you look up Smart Cities Startup Challenge on Google, I'm sure you'll be able to find some more information. We'll probably post something here later. And then we've got some other announcements coming soon that I'll share with you next week with a couple other things that we're working on that will be made public next week. But this week, I'm actually leaving Wednesday, headed down to the Army Corps of Engineers. So down in Vicksburg, Mississippi, we are demoing the robotic crack sealer machine for the Army Corps before we get to the Air Force Base. So the robotic crack sealer is actually at an airport right now doing some testing and some calibration before we go to the Corps of Engineers. Meet the team down there late Wednesday and head over the rest of the week over to the Army Corps in Vicksburg. So exciting times here at neco. As always, we measure our progress in weekly achievements. So some big companies, have quarterly reports and annualized and semi-annual. We're focused on the weekly progress, weekly execution on a lot of different elements of tasks. So I did get a question that asked about our equity raise. And so I did want to answer that. So had somebody message us asking about our build and our path to liquidity and our path to growing. So this is where it gets really exciting for us. So we are actually going out. We're doing this crowd equity raise. We'll raise up to 1.07 million. All the terms and details have to be given to you through the WeFunder site. So you can go on the WeFunder site and look at those if you haven't. But let's see, there you go. There's a little, so go to wefunder.com/necoTECH or just search necoTECH on there. So that round is $1.07 million. And those use of funds are going to be building the company. Stuff that we've already been working on for a couple of years, enhancing those. So the cool thing about Neco, the way that we're structured, we've been able to double down with outside capital from the DoD. But that is non-dilutive capital, meaning that they do not own a piece of Neco. They don't take a piece of the company. So all of our capital raise gets, essentially matched. It's not direct match, but we're taking outside capital from the DoD so that we don't have to raise as much traditional capital. It also gives us a way to do tests and proving before we launch to the broader public market. So if you imagine that something gets built and tested by the military, it's usually pretty rugged and to a degree that might be overkill for the conventional markets. So it allows us to build on the backs of the military, beta test with them, pilot with them, and then scale to large scale contracts with the DoD. So we can actually produce a big return, from selling military contracts. And then it also allows us to go out to the non-military market and scale there with the military's validation. So when we go into the suburbs and the cities and municipalities and talk about our products, we're talking to them and saying, well, this is what the Air Force is using, or this is what the Army has tested. Would you guys like the same thing? So it gives us that market validation where most startups, that's the hardest thing, right? Is how do we know that you're valid? How do we know that you're building something that is, capable of handling us? When we're coming out with the military's backing, that really helps us sell to the regular market. So that's kind of our path to liquidity, and what we're looking at is we're doubling down with large scale contracts so that we avoid the valley of death that a traditional startup has to face as much as possible, and offset it with non-dilutive capital from the DoD, large scale contracts, and then double down with the non-military market as well. So you'll see that throughout our pitch. It's a unique strategy. There's several companies that are doing it. The big ones that survive are kind of merging both, like SpaceX, right? So they're getting a big chunk from the DoD and from the federal government. So we're kind of following the same suit as a company like them. So they've shown a path of way to double down and get both conventional market money as well as DoD funds. So that's how we're going. And then it becomes a matter of when we need to raise more capital. That's a question that's always on hand. The more military contracts we get, it's quite honestly not as much of a requirement for us to go get as much outside capital as a traditional startup would need. Our path to revenue, we're already profitable for the first 2 years. So we've never been in the red. I don't intend to ever go into the red, which makes us an attractive investment, in my opinion. But I'll leave that up to you. And all those terms, again, are at that WeFunder site. So you got to make your own decisions. All investments involve risk, all the legal disclaimers around that. But we found, we got some pretty cool things going here and a way to build it in a unique way. So that's what we'll continue to double down on and go out with the DoD, and then also spin it out to the non-military market as well. So, for instance, our robotic crack sealer debuts 2 weeks at Tyndall Air Force Base, and that'll be the first live testing with the Department of Defense with the Air Force. That then carries over to the Federal Aviation Administration, so the FAA. So all the airports out there, there's about 5,000 public airports out there that are all FAA regulated, meaning that they have to adhere to federal standards. Well, we are the only ones in the federal market with the robotic crack sealer. So allows us to go in and sole source, and a unique way to maintain infrastructure. Our whole focus there is better, safer, more efficient maintenance of our infrastructure, and how we get to not being able to have to put in another $1 trillion in 10 years, right, to get us back to the same point. So we can't be doing the same things that we've been doing for the past 60 years to maintain our infrastructure. We have to make changes in the way that we do it, which means that we have to increase efficiencies. We have to decrease the operating costs of maintaining the infrastructure so that it doesn't deteriorate, being proactive instead of reactive. Well, how do you do that? Well, advanced equipment, advanced materials. That's what we're all about at neco. So you can actually see, so these are 3D printed parts back here. So I'm at my buddy. I'll give a shout out to Michael at IC3D. We've been hanging out here today. So he's doing some fabulous stuff with 3D printing. So we're just exploring. I always like to talk to other founders, find out, what they're doing, how they're doing, model what works, right? Get different approaches, share contacts. It really does take a village, and a lot of this startup world in this setting, and the more people that you can connect to, the better off you are. And I'm a social butterfly, I guess you'd say. So I go around to all the other friends and people that are building companies and chat with them all the time. So makes the world go round. But so I'm excited to share a lot more. We've got several things that the team has been working on last week, this week, that are some pretty cool updates, some pretty cool accolades that we're about to embark on here. So I'll be able to share those. I like to keep these short, so be able to share some success. Be able to tell people, that are looking at investing, where their investment's going, and get them excited about investing, hopefully. But at the same time, just love sharing the progress. Constantly amazed by the team that we've got here at neco, and the strides that we're able to make. Like I said, weekly. I mean, we truly measure our progress in weekly sprints. So check out our WeFunder page. You can see it down there now. WeFunder.com/necoTECH. And always feel free to message us through any of our social media. Happy to answer any of the questions that you have, either about investing or just about our company in general. So love to share that with you. So everybody have a safe and productive week. I am going to travel down to Mississippi, and I will be back here next Monday, 5:45 Eastern time, to share the more news and weekly updates and answer any of the questions that you may have. Appreciate the time. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.